Welcome to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live. I am the Count, and this is Dr. Doom. You can always call us at 201-939-4513. It is presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants, here on Giants.com. I will allow you folks to guess as to who Dr. Doom is today. But for the time being, we remind you that today's show is coming to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. And as always, if you don't catch the show live, catch it as part of the archive in our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. Now, before I get Dr. Doom's opening comments for today's show, we should tell you that there's no change in the injury report. If you looked at it from Giants.com yesterday, Brian Daboll talked with us this morning before they just went out to practice. He said there's no change. However, the one item that he did add is that Cordell Flott, who was in concussion protocol, they don't think he's got enough time to clear the protocol, which means the Giants are going to be without both Paulson Adebo and Cordell Flott for Sunday's game against the 49ers.
Let me get my hands on him.
Dr. Doom wanted to try out today, but apparently the NFL would not give him a waiver.
They wouldn't let me wear my helmet like Antonio Brown.
So, two-time Super Bowl champion Jonathan Casillas with us today on Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Happy Halloween, guys.
And yes, indeed. Happy Halloween, happy Candy Day, and I hope everybody enjoys a healthy and happy one with all of the kids out there. But seriously, the Giants do have a cornerback issue.
Absolutely.
It looks as though you'll get Tay Banks on one side. Art Green has a hamstring. He's been a special teams demon and had a pretty decent camp at corner, but because of the hammy, I don't know if he's going to be able to go. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days. I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything this afternoon. You could be looking at Corey Black, who played 30 snaps the other day in Philadelphia. Questionable offensive pass interference that was not called on the touchdown by Dotson. But it's slim pickings right now, Jonathan.
Yeah, you got to have that next man up mentality. You know, I literally just saw Micah McFadden in the hallway walking with the boot on, recovering from the Liz Frank surgery that he had. Guys have to step up. I told him, I said I had a Liz Frank too. Injuries happen, but that's opportunities for other guys to come in and play some meaningfully good football. Corey Black, he was on a practice squad, if I'm not mistaken, and he got thrusted into basically the rotational lineup as a defensive back for the New York Football Giants. And look, he looked like a guy that was on a practice squad the week before, to be honest.
Well, the tough part for him is that on one way it was good. He was drafted by the Giants and he was here all training camp, but didn't make the 53, and the Jets poached him, okay? Well, the Giants poached him back before the Philly game last week because they were so thin at corner. So he got thrown in there with virtually no reps, and he played 30 reps. Brian Daboll said today it was helpful that he was with us throughout the spring and training camp because it gave him some basis to work under. But, Jonathan, you and I both know there's nothing like being around consistently, and the fact that he had to spend a couple months with the Jets and came back, that was an issue.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I just go back to the opportunities because we saw a few years ago, Isaiah Hodgins got brought in the middle of the season and off of the Bills practice squad.
Yes.
And he did some really great things for the New York Football
That was an aberration. You don't see that often.
You don't, but it happens every now and again. I've being an undrafted guy, you pay attention to the undrafted guys. Not only throughout my career, but as I've been, working with the Giants on the media side of it, doing the radio stuff, I'm paying attention to all the undrafted guys, and it happens. It's not that frequent that it happens in the way of Isaiah Hodgins to where he's making plays in the playoffs in the same year, but it's the opportunity. And look, the Giants are, the record shows they're not a good team right now. now. There's opportunities, especially because of all the injuries that are happening. The defensive backfield for the New York Giants is decimated, right? Flott was having, I think, it's a career year this year, even though the statistics may not support defensively, but him individually, he was having a stellar year. I think by far his best year he's had. Next man up mentality. And
I think one of the few guys who's actually played to his max.
Yeah, yep.
Most guys have underachieved on that defense.
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look at the defense as a whole, you can kind of go man for man, and it's like, have they really? And it's not only about like what we expect from them; it's what they put on film themselves in years past. And I know everybody's been talking about the Banks and Dexter Lawrence thing, and I understand where Banks is coming from. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with that. People don't respect him. I don't agree that, but Dexter Lawrence hasn't been dominant like we've seen in the past. No. And it's not that our standard for him is higher than his. No, it's what he showed us for the last few years. You know, and it hasn't been like that. But there is one guy that I think a consensus that everybody knows is playing his butt off is Brian Burns. and for me,
love him.
It sucks because when you have a guy like that, you would think that the other guys see him battling through injuries, fighting back, literally like every game he has some type of injury, like since last year, since he came in, and he's tough. He barely misses any plays. He definitely doesn't miss any games, and he's not practicing during the week, and he's selling out. That should be as much as Scatterboo was and Dart is on offense as that energy. That should be that energy for the defense, and I just don't see it there, Paul. That's one of the most disappointing things for me.
I don't think Burns is a rah-rah kind of guy on the field. We see him do the Spider-Man thing, right? The Spidey thing after he gets a sack. But he's not the kind of guy on the field, at least my impression, that is going to, get in people's faces like Brandon Jacobs used to do, like Scatterboo does. And he's so demonstrative. Those guys were very, very demonstrative. They made you, infected you, if you will, with bursts of nuclear energy.
Yeah.
That's not Brian Burns. Brian Burns quietly just says, I'm going to kick somebody's butt on this play, and he goes out and he does it, and he picks himself up off the ground. In fact, sometimes peels himself off the ground to go make the next play. To me, he's more an example guy.
Yeah.
Right?
That's all I was thinking. When you were talking just now, I was thinking that's a perfect example of lead by example.
Yeah.
Right? And I just don't see it really carrying over to the other guys because I don't see people giving the effort that he's given. And I've talked about this on the show before. The famous quote from Bill Belichick, right, was "Do your job," right? For me, that's only half the battle. Yes, you do your job. If I'm a linebacker and I got my BGAC, okay, I did my job. But if the running back is going out on the defensive back, which is schemed to go against him, I said this before, I don't expect those guys to make tackles against the Saquon Barkleys of the world, the Christian McCaffreys of the world. I have to do my job plus. And you know who does that on a consistent basis? Number 0. Brian Burns does that. And I just don't see it from the whole defense collectively. Now you see other, guys making, extra effort plays at times. I think Drew Phillips is a guy, he's a guy that, he ran down a play from the backside. He was, 30 yards away, and he made that play at the line of scrimmage. You see plays like that every now and again, but Brian Burns does it every single play. And this is what the defense need, especially when you got guys banged up.
I've said all along since Brian Burns got here, but it's emphasized this season for me, he could have played with those throwback Giants linebackers of the 80s.
He reminds me
could have played with those guys.
Of a guy, like just one of those tough, hard-nosed guys that you put him, and first of all, he's very versatile, which I was very apprehensive at first when they were moving him off the ball. I was like, why is he playing off the ball as much? Because
he can do it.
He's such a good pass rusher. He's really good off the ball, Paul.
He is.
He can understand route combinations, route concepts. He's very good in space. I haven't seen him really miss a tackle. You tell me, I haven't really seen him miss too many tackles or too many plays.
Wow, you know
where
what?
He was in the right position and he made the play. And that is beyond the X's and O's. That is going beyond doing your job because everybody misses tackles besides Brian Burns, clearly. But, I feel like somebody has to make up for not just the play of the guys that were lost, but when you talk about the loss of Scatterboo, it's not just the tangibles that he brought on the field. It's not just the short yardage plays and the physicality that he brings. It's the energy.
Yeah.
It's that energy that he and just infested in that locker room. It's just you can feel it, you know. Everything was like what the heck is he doing? Like, and everybody, as a defensive guy, you're like, oh man, I love that. Like, I love the way he's playing, and you have to figure out a way to replace that. And I'm looking for the next guy up. Who's going to be the guy? You know, is it Corey Black? Who is it going to be the guy that's going to step up and kind of, you know, put that energy back into the locker room that's gone with Scadaboo?
Okay, now the danger in that, Jonathan, and you may not agree with me, but I think you will. The danger in that is you can't fake that.
Absolutely not.
If you're not that guy, it's hard to go out there on the field and fake that and be a rah-rah guy all of a sudden out of the blue, because that does not infect your teammates. They will look at you and say, what are you doing?
They'll see right through you.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I don't know that there's another guy like Dart and like Scadaboo in that locker room who's got that kind of swagger. I suppose to some degree Dexter Lawrence has when he does the whole sexy Dexy dance. There's some of that in there.
Haven't seen that really.
No, we haven't seen it this year. And I don't think there's any other player on the team that's got that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the other guy is probably Malik Neighbors, but he was gone for a while now. You know, but I'm not looking for the exact replacement because there's no way you can do that no matter what player you
the
lose.
Fake stuff will not fly.
But there has to be some type of upstart in energy, a kickstart, you know, something to get the guys going, because, you know, the way the season is going right now, you know, a couple of weeks ago you're looking, you know, as you know, being very optimistic about what you're seeing on film, Paul, and I'm not as optimistic as I was just a few weeks ago. You know, going into that fourth quarter of the Denver game, everything was like, all right, this is a team that can fight. This is a team that can probably do something, starting 0-3, you know, getting themselves out of that deep hole that they dug themselves in. And then the last 5 quarters after that, it's really bad football that they've been playing.
For 7 quarters, they looked like the Giants we thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
and then it went bad.
Yeah.
Let me run this by you. I believe that Tyrone Tracy, who missed about the first third of the season last year while he was on the bench behind Devin Singletary, then came on and ran for over 800 yards and would have been a 1,000-yard rusher had he played the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that. I think Singletary, because of his long speed, because of his ability to break one, he did in Denver, by the way, I think he brings a different element than Scadaboo to the game. It's not necessarily an extra 2 or 3 yards after contact and pushing piles and getting guys all riled up and screaming like a maniac and ripping his shirt off and that stuff. No, it's not that.
You're not doing no backflips.
It's not. No, it's not that. But what he can do to provide a spark is maybe turn a 4 or 5 yard gain, if you get that crease and a block, into a 35 or 40 yard gain. And I'm going to suggest to you that Tyrone Tracy, I think the hurt over Scadaboo's injury is overshadowing the fact that Tyrone Tracy is a quality running back who showed an awful lot of promise and excitement as a rookie. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to him having a major impact in this game on Sunday.
But don't kind of breeze over Motor Singletary, because he's done it for a long time in the NFL. He's a career 4.0 yards per carry guy.
He may wind up being the shorter yardage guy. He may be the guy, they may say to him, look, Scadaboo was getting those short yardage deals. He was getting those punches down the goal line to punch him in. Maybe that's what his new role is. I want Tyrone Tracy to touch the ball at least 20 times on Sunday.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I do.
No, I'm with you.
Because Singletary's not breaking a 35, 40-yard run. He's not doing it.
He's not. But like you said earlier, those 3, 4, 5-yard runs, those are crucial, especially when you need them. And he's a guy that's consistently done it throughout his career. He hasn't shown it here, but he's been basically a backup for most of the time he's been here. You know, and now I think with Scadaboo being out, we can go back to seeing the 1-2 punch that's featuring Tracy and Motor. But I wouldn't say, oh, let's give Tracy the bulk of the carries. You know why? Because that guy, Motor Singletary, he's reliable. It's the reason why he's played in the league as long as he has. You saw that catch that he made? Mm-hmm. That was a phenomenal catch.
It was.
And if you think about it, that's what the Giants needed. The Giants have needed guys to make phenomenal catches, because that guy, number 6, Jackson Dart, has been throwing some dimes that's been dropped, Paul. That is, something that's very concerning.
Should I show you my drop chart? Do you really want to see it?
I've been seeing it too much.
There's too much on it.
I watched a video last night of highlights of drops. Beautiful thrown balls with sound effects of the drops. And it was like heartbreaking to me because these balls were beautiful. Like they were just coming, we're talking about the sideline, to catch a couple ones in the end zone a couple weeks ago. And good defense on some of those plays. Good defense, but some plays it was just straight drops.
I know.
But you got a guy like Devin.
I know.
And I keep bringing him up because there's something about a wily veteran. There's something about a guy that understands football, right? He's played that running back position for a long time. Tracy's 4 years in at the running back position, if I'm not mistaken.
1 year in college.
Oh, so 3 years.
And now his second year in the pros.
So this is third year total for the running back position. And I just feel like Motor could be utilized a little bit more. And he may be the spark because I saw him as Scatterbull was doing his thing. He had a run late in the Philadelphia game where he had a first down, if it was like 9 or 10 yards in the fourth quarter, and he got up fired up. I don't know if I've seen him do that in the past, but he is a guy that can get those tough little yards that could be 3, 4, 5 yards. Maybe not, bang his head against the wall like Scatterbull, but I'm telling you, something about those wily veterans that can make a guy miss in a phone book. In a phone booth. He's a guy that can do that.
Phone book is what Lance sits on.
Damn, shots fired at Lance Meadow.
We love him. I had to do this because, you did bring it up. I'm sorry. I've got the Giants for 19 drop passes this year.
Oh my God.
10 of which, here's the worst part, 10 of which were at or beyond the sticks for a first down. That's painful. 19. It's painful.
And there's repeat offenders. There's a lot of repeat offenders.
Sure there are. But that's, again, I'm pretty tough on drops. You know that.
Yeah.
You know how I grade them.
Yes, I do. It breaks your heart. It breaks your heart every time you see it.
Now there are those people, there are some analytics people out there, I think, have the Giants with like 8 or 9 drops. They're being very generous to the receivers. I'm not that way. I'm like a wide receivers coach. It's like, no, you had to catch that ball. And Lord knows if, let's just say, the 10 first down throws that were caught, how much better would this team be right
absolutely. Now? And I watched the Commanders play the other day. Terry McLaurin made 2 of the greatest catches I've ever seen. He was doing like an over route towards the end zone. Quarterback threw the ball. It looked like he was out of bounds. He caught the ball on the move, running full speed, got his 2 toes, and they had to review. It was a touchdown. And there was another play on they played the Texans, if I'm not mistaken. And who was the Pearson? Who did they play? And they had like a really it was McDuffie. They played the 49ers. It was the 49er game. Sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking Stingley for some reason. Because I was just watching the Houston Texans versus San Fran. It was McDuffie.
Washington has not played the 49ers yet this year.
The Commanders?
The Commanders have not. Have not. I got the 49ers thing right here.
So who did the Commanders? Whoever it was, right?
Anyway, go ahead.
It was a really good corner on him. It might have been Stingley. I don't know who it was. My memory sucks, but I remember the catch. His right arm was being held. Right, it was down the field. His right arm's being held. As the ball was coming, he basically got pass interference. He dove for the ball and caught the ball. It was the most insane catch I've ever seen. But he does that on a consistent basis, Terry McLaurin. And that's why he's named Scary Terry, because he does stuff like that. We need guys, and it can't be Neighbors because Neighbors is not playing for this team right now. Yeah. We need guys to go beyond the X's and O's and make those extravagant catches because Dart is putting that ball where it's supposed to be at almost 90% of the time.
Okay. So I will kind of double up on your point because I've been after Giants players, skill position guys to make plays above the X's and the O's for a long time. And they don't have enough of guys who do it consistently. They'll get one every 3 or 4 weeks.
It was the Chiefs corner, McDuffie. Who was I saying?
Oh, yeah.
I was saying San Fran McDuffie. No, it was the Chiefs McDuffie.
McDuffie definitely plays for the Chiefs.
I'm sorry.
Okay. But here's what I'll say. When you don't make the plays above the X's and the O's, you compound it by having 19 drops.
Yeah. No, for sure.
If you're going to have those drops, then make 19 plays above the X's and the O's to counter those 19 drops.
Right. That's like
we don't do either.
It's like old Pickens. Pickens will drop an easy one, but he'll make the most extravagant catch you ever seen on the same drive.
All right, real quick, just a thought before we get to the phones, because I do want to get to your calls at 201-939-4513. Real quick, very important item when you talk about this matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. You're going to love this as a linebacker, Jonathan. This year, not counting kneel downs, the Niners have been trapped behind the line of scrimmage on a running play 25 times, which is 12% of their runs, the fourth highest percentage in the National Football League. Their offensive line has had a lot of trouble this year. They've certainly had difficulty staying healthy, no question. I understand that. But they have had a great amount of difficulty getting their running game going consistently, and Christian McCaffrey's only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. So it's been a pedestrian running game. Kittle just got back into the lineup. Ayuk is still out since last year. This is a wounded team. I don't even want to get on offense where Warner's gone, where Bosa's gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a wounded team. People out in San Francisco were talking like, how does this team have a winning record? Seriously, they're like, how are they 5-3? Well, you know why? They're very well coached. Yep. They scheme it at an incredibly high level, and they don't self-destruct. Yep. They don't beat themselves. And that's why they have a winning record and the Giants don't. Because if you look at these stats across the board, this is a very beatable team coming in here on Sunday. Mm-hmm.
But like you said, they don't make a lot of mistakes. Like the team down 95, the Eagles don't make a lot of mistakes either.
Yeah, well.
And you see what happens. But for some reason, I don't know, I watched the last two games that they played, and it was like I'm watching two different teams when I watched them play against Atlanta, and then they played against the Texans last week. Christian McCaffrey didn't touch the ball to the end of the second quarter last week, and I'm just wondering, why would you do something like that? In the game before, he had 200 yards total. He had the most yards he had all season. The first game he had over 100, and he had like 70 receiving yards. He ended up at 200 all-purpose yards.
He had over 120 rushing against Atlanta.
And last week, Houston Texans, he didn't touch the ball to the end, like a minute left in the second quarter. It was something like that, and they didn't get a first down to that time as well. And I'm like, don't you think that goes hand in hand? You get your best player the ball, you might get some first downs. So it depends, I think, what type of team they want to be when they face the Giants. Are they going to be a guy that, because McCaffrey's averaging 25 touches a game through the ground and
you're going to run it against the Giants, aren't you?
Yes, you will. And that was the point I was getting to. They're going to look back and see what they did well against Atlanta and said, you know what we're seeing on film against the Giants, especially what they showed last week against Philly, I mean, the whole season, they haven't made us out the Rumble. It was just an avalanche of Saquon Barkley and what was the other back name from last week from Philadelphia? Bigsby. Rock Bigsby, right? Rock Bigsby. It was just an avalanche of running backs, and they basically did whatever they wanted. Better believe that these guys, San Francisco, they're going to run the ball probably 60% of the time against the Giants. Because the Giants on defense, their strength is against the pass. And no matter how the game's going, Burns finds a way to get to that quarterback.
Well, that's it. Even with the dearth of corners available, we do know they can get to the QB.
100%.
Which, by the way, the Niners can't do.
Right.
Look at this.
Being out, Warner being out, a lot of guys. Yep.
They got 9 sacks on the season. That's 31st in the league.
Which is uncharacteristic of not only 49ers, but a Salas defense as well.
They have 5 sacks over the last 6 games combined. It's unbelievable.
Hey, I tell you what, though, their defense flies around. And I think they're leading the league in takeaways, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, they punch out the football.
Yep. So this may not be a dangerous against the quarterback defense, but this is a dangerous defense. When your defense can take the ball away, it gives your offense so many more opportunities with the football, and you're basically in every single game if you can create takeaways.
6 fumble recoveries.
That's a good amount. You know what that means to me? That means they're hustling to the ball.
Yeah.
That means they're all running to the ball. They're all getting off of blocks. And that's what I've seen on film. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been clean. But you've seen 11 guys flying around on that defense. But that's a Robert Saleh defense right there.
Now, here's the one thing I will tell you. On pass plays, their blitz percentage is only 18%. That's 28th in the NFL. So they're not taking chances. They know they don't have the bodies to get home. So they're not sending extra bodies because the risk is too high. They're going to get burned. They understand that. Now, at the same time, Jackson Dart, who is 2-0 as a starting quarterback at home this season, has shown he's one of those guys, as most rookies are, that if you're not going to send a lot of heat at him, he can do pretty much what he's programmed to do. I'm telling you, folks, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a pinball machine in terms of the scoreboard. I think both teams are going to move the ball pretty darn well, I think, on Sunday. It might wind up being the last team with the ball that wins the game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And looking at these quarterbacks, no matter who plays, they're very, very similar in what they can do, skill set wise.
Oh, Purdy and Jones?
Yeah, and I don't think I see a difference in the offense.
Purdy runs a little more.
He runs, yeah, he definitely a little bit more mobile. But I'm talking about what Shanahan asked them to do. I think it's pretty similar. I think
it's a system.
It's a system thing, right? Yeah. And the skill sets are not really like, you can see a different, type of play when Brock plays. No, I think you see more consistency because he's been in there longer, I think.
Yeah.
So we might see Purdy because they may trust him more given his health.
Well, Purdy's got the toe thing, and supposedly the media out in San Francisco yesterday is leaning toward him not playing this week.
Yeah.
And part of it, they bring up the whole artificial turf thing. Now, we know the artificial turf at MetLife was replaced in 2023. The Niners were here in 2020 when they had 4 players injured in the game, and they were blaming the turf on it. Now, psychologically, that may be part of what's still in their heads.
Yep.
But I'm thinking it's going to be Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, and like this Kyle Shanahan's offense, they are like a timing offense. They're a rhythmic offense. So the Giants have to do a good job in knocking them off their rhythm. Because if Mac Jones get into a flow state where he could just distribute the ball, and they have a phenomenal tight end in George Kittle, if they can, limit him early and limit Christian McCaffrey early, they can have success because we're not looking at Mac Jones, this phenomenal quarterback that can beat us all by himself. No, he has to be able to be involved and have rhythm in this offense to have success.
We go to the phones at 201-939-4513. Tim in Charleston, you are first on the show. Hello.
Oh, proud to be first. So, hello, Dr. Doom and Count Postula. How you doing?
Good to talk to you.
What's up, man?
So basically the way I'm looking, I went from hopeful to so optimistic after the first Philly game at home. And then that obviously we know what happened the last 2 weeks. Not going to rehash. But we got 9 games left. Now, here's the thing. 6 of them are at home. So Dart has shown that he amps up the enthusiasm of the home crowd. Obviously, Scatterboo did too, but he's gone.
Yeah.
But hopefully, if we got to win at least half those games at home. And at the end of the year, we end up with 3 out of 4 games at home, and we got the 2 division opponents, Washington and Dallas, in those games.
Correct.
So let's beat those guys. Let's at least go 3-3 in the division. Let's have a winning record at home. A minimum of 5-4, and do our damnedest to pick up a game or 2 on the road, and it's not as bad as it looks right now. But that's obviously all hope. We're shorthanded. I think again, I'm like a broken record. Every year I say it, and almost every game I say it. Stop the run. If we could stop the run and hold this team to under 125 yards total, 110. If we get all of them at 110, we win the game. If 125 wouldn't be bad. But if we stop the run, I know we're dinged up in the secondary, but I have faith in our pass rush. If we stop the run to put them in more passing situations, we're going to hopefully, if we tackle well, we're in this game. We win this game at home, and that's the key. 6 games left at home. This one becomes key. So I hope the Dr. Doom thing wasn't impending doom.
Tim, I'll say this. Mac Jones is like many quarterbacks who, when there's a lot of pressure, they just don't seem to handle it very well. It's the elite guys who handle pressure well. That's what makes the stars in this league, right? Yeah. Any quarterback, if you give them a lot of time, and they're at the pro level. Come on, these guys got here for a reason. They're going to do well. But it's only the really special guys who, when you really get after their butts and you knock them on their you-know-whats, their keister, they still can perform at a very high level. Mac Jones has not proven to be one of those guys. So if I'm the Giants, I'm blitzing like crazy this week, and I'm not just talking about on pass plays. I'm talking about on run plays too. I'm sending guys through gaps because I don't want McCaffrey to get going.
Well, that's what I just said about being on rhythm. You know, if you can blitz them on first and 10 when they have a run play and you get them for negative yardage, they're off rhythm now.
Bingo.
Now they're second and long. They have to do something that.
And you heard the number
outside.
I just gave you too.
Yep, that goes outside of what they would normally do, screen games and stuff like that. And that's when you start turning number 0 loose. Because we want Brian Burns getting after Mac Jones the whole night. We want that.
Oh, yeah.
Advantage Giants. I don't think there's anybody in the league that can block him. Now, there's other guys along the defensive line, I think, that have opportunities that I think need to go ahead and show up. Because, look, Tim, every year when you come into a season, you have your goals. I don't know what the goals for the Giants is, but every single year that I've ever played in the league, we've always had some type of goal of defending your home turf.
Yeah.
And the Giants have, like you said, a lot of home games left. So they can figure out a way to win most of those home games, figure out a way to do it, and compete in this division, because right now they're 1-3 in the division. They still have 2 division games left. Right now they're already tied for the last, 3 years of how many wins they had in the division. So they're already doing better right now. You know, so if the Giants can figure out a way to get one or two of those games that's left in the division, figure out to win more than half of the games at home, I think we're looking at something that we can build off of, because right now it's looking bleak. When I say looking bleak, just what we're seeing for the last 5 quarters, and then losing your guy in Scatterable. They have to figure out a way to respond. I've said at the beginning of the season, when they dropped the first 2 games, and they responded against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. And then they dropped it against the Chiefs, and they responded against the Eagles. So let's respond, Giants. Let's figure out a way to respond, because you're missing your energy guy on offense. There's a whole bunch of tremendous guys in that locker room, high character guys, good players that's played some good football here. We need those guys to go ahead and show that they are the guys that we all think they are, and that who they think they are.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers have only allowed 2 sacks per game. They're at 16. They're 7th best in the league in sacks allowed. So let's double that. Let's put some pressure on Jones, and let's get a lead and keep the pressure on, and let's see some gap integrity. And I'll take the rest off the air, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, this is a Niners team that in 4 of the last 5 games, they're 2-3 over the last 5. And the Giants are 2-3 over the last 5. Mm-hmm. And the Niners have allowed at least 23 points in 4 of those 5 games. Defensively, they're messed up. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're really, really limping in here. If you're the Giants, that's where the aggression has to be. Go at them offensively. Attack. Let Dart do what he's been doing in home games this year and put the pressure on the other side of the ball. You know, make the Niners have to step up with their wobbly defense.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you got to take advantage of somebody that's ailing, right? And right now they're ailing. I think Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the league, and they're missing that guy.
Big time.
He is he's the Scatterable of the 49ers. You know, he's the energy guy. He's the guy that's making the plays. He's the guy that's getting everybody lined up, and they are missing him. But what you can't take away, what I've seen on film, is those 11 guys in those red jerseys flying around.
They're fast.
They are flying around on defense, and they do make mistakes. But you have to capitalize on those mistakes, right? And then on offense, you have to protect the football. This is a game where I think going against Philadelphia consistently, it's always about if you can make Philly make a mistake like they did in the first game, because Philly don't make a lot of mistakes.
No.
If you can make them make a mistake, you have a chance. But if not, then Philly's pretty much Philadelphia, what we've seen for the last couple years. San Fran and the Giants, these teams are like, if you can make that team make mistakes, then they're going to be what their record is, right? The Giants. If the Giants can play clean football, if they can, and they can make Philadelphia make those, San Francisco make those mistakes, now the Giants are setting themselves up for success. Because this is a team right here, they're thriving off their takeaways. When you're giving up plays and you're giving up yardage and you're giving up touchdowns and you get that turnover, it's like it erases all of the negative things that happen to you.
This would blow your mind, but you know how the Giants are so stunted in the red zone, although they've picked it up now on 3rd down and in the red zone with Jackson Dart. For the season, the Giants are at 48% touchdown percentage in the red zone. That's 25th in the league. But how about this? The 49ers are only 21st at 52%. So this is not the Niner team that people went into the season thinking that, they're going to be a top contender. No, I get it. They won 5 games. But they are a muted team. I can't stress it enough. The Giants need to be foaming at the mouth on both sides of the ball Sunday. They need 100%. To take it out of them.
Yeah, they have to. But they have
show
to.
Them. Show the Niners, hey, you guys aren't that good.
They have to do a good job on those two guys that are just phenomenal players in this league, all-pro guys, and that's Christian McCaffrey and Kittle. Those guys can wreck games. And they have wrecked games.
The Giants have had some trouble with tight ends. Mm-hmm. We saw Newman had trouble with Goddard again last week because they wound up putting him on him.
Historically, too. Not just this
I know.
regime. When I was playing, too, we had some struggles with the tight ends.
Holland is looks like he's trending to come back.
Okay.
Javon Holland. That's a big deal, okay? Because Belton played last week, and they decided to give more of the coverage responsibilities to Newman, and that didn't work out so good either. Holland, I think it looks good for him this week. That would be a big plus. Rob from Yonkers, you're next on the show. Hello.
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Very well, sir. How are you?
You guys touched on one of the subjects I wanted to speak on. As far as in the division, I feel like if we can actually win a few more games and Dallas and Washington lose a few more games, I think we could actually get right back into this race. It's like actually NFL's giving us like a third try on actually trying to get back into this race. What do you guys think about that?
Race for what?
To get back into the division, meaning that Washington just lost and Dallas just lost. Our record is not too far off. So if we start winning some games and Washington and Dallas start losing some games, we actually maybe could get into the second in our division. What do you think?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about playoffs. I must say it's a little bit bigger than a division when it comes to the playoff race. But I understand what you're saying, to be competitive in the division. And that's something that, Paul, I don't know how many shows I've been on where I talked about the Giants being competitive in the division. Even the year 3 years ago when the regime first got here, when the Giants went 9-8. Or is it 9-8, right? And they snuck it to the playoffs. And
you mean 9-7-1.
9-7-1. 9-7-1.
In 2022.
Yeah, in 2022. 9-7-1, and they end up winning the playoff game. That year, the division record was 1-4-1.
I know.
And last year, they went winless in the division. So I'm with you. And I always look at that because your fast track into the playoffs is winning your division.
No doubt.
You have to be competitive in your division, and the truth is the Giants just haven't been competitive. So I hear your point in them being competitive in the division. Maybe they can do it, but let's focus on San Fran right now. Let's not look down the road and talk about the team in front of us, because the Giants have to do well at home. Because historically, and I say historically, the last couple of years, the Giants have not done well at home. And if you can secure your home games, that's also as big as winning your division games as well.
Yeah, there are small steps that you have to take when you're trying to climb out of the quicksand. And two of them are winning record at home and at least 500 in the division. Those are two of the hurdles you have to clear to become a better team. Quite frankly, at this point, with the Giants at 2-6, those are probably the two most realistic hurdles they might still be able to achieve.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Three more things, and I wait for you guys to comment.
Three more? How'd you clear this, Pearson? It's Halloween.
Rip
Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. What do you got, Rob?
Real quick. Let's not hope this is a get-back game for Christian McCaffrey like it was Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Let's not hope.
Right.
Number two, I think I've been from watching, a lot of Burns' sacks came from Abdul Carter. Every time Abdul Carter gets close to the quarterback, it's like he's running the quarterback right into
Burns. A little bad for him too, because
Burns steals a lot of them. Burns steals them. He does. He steals them. He's still having a phenomenal season though.
And the last one, I feel like sometimes Jackson Dart underthrows his long passes down the field, where his receivers either have to come back for it or they got to fight for it. If he overthrows them a little bit, kind of see if they can get the ball. Don't turn it into a 50-50. If you could overthrow him just a little bit, see if you can do that. Let him run for the ball. And I'll take it off air. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rob. One comment about the underthrown ball. It wouldn't be so bad if our receivers did a better job of drawing the pass interference flags that so many other teams seem to be really good at.
And consistently do it. Because if you got a guy that's willing to throw a deep ball, there's going to be contact, guys. This is the NFL. That stuff that happened with Slayton last week with 27. Like, that happens almost every play. You know, sometimes the referee calls it, sometimes they don't. Not too much on the offense. You know, usually it's on the defense, but I'm not going to get into what the referees and how I feel about them. I already got my cuss words out throughout the week about those guys. But I watched a video recently with Aqib Talib talking about playing against Hakeem Nicks. And he was saying he wasn't playing against Hakeem Nicks. He was talking about playing against Eli Manning because of Eli Manning's ball placement.
Yep.
So there is something to what he's saying. And I would like Jackson Dart to try to put this in his repertoire, the back shoulder ball.
Oh, one of my favorite plays of all time.
Because Aqib Talib was talking about how Hakeem Nicks was killing him because he put it on the front shoulder, then he put it on the back shoulder, then he put it on the back shoulder again. So now he's ready for the back shoulder. He put it on the front shoulder. And when you can incorporate that into your repertoire as a quarterback, it just adds a different variety of how the defensive back can and can't play you. You know, there's certain things that they can and can't do, and it just gives the more of a different locations of the receiver to place the ball, because those good receivers in the league, they don't really look back and play the ball. They play your hands. Those good DBs in the league, they play your hands, and they're very good at that. So if you have late hands and that quarterback is not basically predicting or, you know, basically precursing where he's going to throw the ball at, and it's always in the same spot. So I'm with him. I'm with him with throwing a ball that's a little bit overthrown. But you also got to throw the underthrown ones as well. And then those offensive guys have to make the defenses pay, whether it's through penalty or actually making the catch. And then I would like to see Jackson Dart incorporate that nice back shoulder ball that we've seen from Eli Manning and some of these great quarterbacks.
I don't know how much of the back shoulder he threw at Ole Miss. I don't remember seeing a ton of those when I looked at his video.
He's a layer guy. He's a guy that can layer it. And back shoulder is more of a zip pass.
It's a tightrope.
Yep, a tightrope pass.
It has to be.
But I know he can do it. It's just, has he done it? And will he try to do it?
And that takes a lot of chemistry with the receiver 100%. And the QB. And that you really got to work on that. And the receiver has to be, as much as it's important to have that ball placement in the right spot, the receiver has to also have the right technique to be able to pull that off.
Oh, for sure.
And it's almost more on the receiver than it is on the QB.
Yeah.
Because if you're making the back shoulder throw, even if you're a little off, if the wide receiver is really adept at making that grab, he'll get it.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, he's not letting the DB get it.
Because the back shoulder, the reason why it's so successful, because it lands on the back shoulder of a receiver, and that's really not a good pass. When you instruct quarterbacks to throw good passes, it's never to the back shoulder.
Oh, no, never.
They're not instructed to do that.
It's a very specific play.
That's why it works, because those receivers, they sell like it's going to the front side.
Yes.
And then at the last second, they turn around and snap.
Plexico Burris was great at that,
too. He was
too.
phenomenal. And Aaron Rodgers is one. I played against him, I don't know, 5 times. That back shoulder killed every team that I played for, because it's just so hard to cover. Because you can be all over a guy, and if you're going that way, Paul, and I'm guarding you, I'm thinking the ball's coming here.
Of course.
I'm not thinking the ball's going to come right behind my head. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's the back shoulder boy. I would love for him to get that in his repertoire, because I think he's a phenomenal thrower of the football. I think his pocket presence is second to none. His ability to step up in the pocket, his ability to create. Mm-hmm. Now the guy just have to make those plays downfield, man, because like you said, 19 drops, that's just totally unacceptable.
Now the back shoulder, to me, is probably too much to ask him to bite off right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Given his status as a rookie and also not being a starter during the entire offseason when Russell Wilson had the job cemented. So it seems to me that may be something we're going to have to look at maybe in year 2.
Maybe.
As being part of the regular playbook. I'd love to see it, but again, you got to make sure you got the receivers to complete that ball on the other end.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, when you have 19 drops, you're not helping your quarterback.
Man, that number just
you're just not.
Give me the goosebumps when you say that number.
Coach Marvin is next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hi, Coach.
How you doing, Paul, Jonathan?
What's up,
we're
Coach?
okay, my man. How are you?
I'm all right. That back shoulder, you need a receiver. We don't have receivers to do that. These guys not catching it when it's in front of their face. Now, if you have neighbors and they're connecting that way, I think neighbors is a talent that can make that catch.
He probably could, Coach. I'm not so sure that he wants to, because he's so interested in yak yardage. And you and I both know the back shoulder throw isn't necessarily conducive to yak.
He wants yards in general. He just wants the ball. Give him the damn ball.
But I think it depends on the call, Paul. What is the call of his route that he's going to run? I think he would do it if it's depending on what the call is. Mm-hmm. And you're right. He's a yak guy, but I think there's times he's along that sideline and the guy's right on him. He will attack the ball and the contested ball.
I'd like to see him have a little stickier hands, to be honest.
All of the guys. All of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You guys was also talking about leadership. And, and I always had like 3 categories of leadership. You had the player that leads by example. You have the vocal leader. And then you have that emotional leader. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that emotional leader is the one that has the combination of both of those. Mm-hmm. He can actually he performs and he speaks out, and you have to have those at times on teams, and I think that's what Scatterboo was. He was that emotional leader that he can actually get you ready to go play, even if you're ready to play. But it's something about the words he uses and how he acts that motivates you mentally to go out there and play. It's almost that it's not the same, but it's similar as a player like Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis can talk to me today, and I'm 64 years old. I'm ready to play when Ray starts. and that's the emotional leaders you have to have on teams. And it always don't have to be a player. It could be a coach. Bill Parcells, as I've grown up with, is one of those guys that can talk you emotionally into playing the game the way he feels you should be playing it. And I think that's what Scatterboo kind of brings out. I think Dart has a little bit of that. You guys was right. Brian is he speaks out when he needs to, but I don't see him in that emotional speak out type of person. And I think Dexter is more. I listen to him. He's more of a soft-spoken guy. On the site where Pearson and John, they put up those when they're mic'd up, and I listen to them, and there's interesting things to listen. But they don't move me. They don't make me like I'm ready to get suit up and go. They're nice guys. They speak softly, and but I don't know if we have that kind of player on the defense
Coach,
or the offense
I
right
think
now.
the teams that are the most consistent and that have the most success, they have the leadership values that you're talking about on all levels, from the head coach to the coordinators to the position coaches and to the players as well. And you have each of those guys in every room. And that's the thing about the Giants is like, where are the leaders that are consistently being there that we can say, okay, this guy's definitely a leader, this guy's a leader, and what type of leader is he? You know, and that's the thing. It's like, we got to figure out who those guys are, and I just don't know how much time we got because, you know, guys are dropping. You know, that's what happens during the NFL. Mm-hmm. But you have to be able to rely on some of those guys that are in the locker room that are still playing on this team. That has to be one of those leaders that you talk about for those 3 categories, and it's not just the players.
Well, not everybody can be a nuclear reactor. And again,
That's
you
right.
can't fake that.
No, you cannot.
Now,
No,
one of the greatest examples of a pro's pro and a guy who leads by example with his detail and focus is Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
We talked about it the entire offseason and while he was starting on this team. And by the way, he is still out there at practice talking up everybody on that field, defensive players included. He is a terrific leader. But he does not have a nuclear reactor in his belly. Yeah. That's not the way he is. And
right.
you can't, you can't blame a guy for that.
No.
It's just, you either have it or you don't.
Like Coach Marvin said, there's different ways to lead, but you have to have those different type of ways in a locker room like this. This is a big locker room. It's not a team of 15 people. There's 75 guys on this team.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to have a nucleus of those type of guys, a collective of those type of guys.
Those guys actually shows up in August. It's a personality thing with these guys. It's not something you just walk in and you're doing like you're saying. You can't be fake it.
No, you can't.
Nope.
Stuff. Because guys are going to look at you like, what are you talking about? They're not going to follow you even if you are trying to.
Correct.
You have to be born into doing that. And a lot of times I watch the kids' body language. I watch how they react to other kids. And then I have a conversation with them. about being a leader. I can't make them be one, but I want their personality to be what I want it to be, in the sense of the way they act, pretty much the way I'm coaching. So with Ray Lewis, he actually was speaking to his players as the coach would want to be speaking to the players.
Sure.
So whatever message the coach was giving, he was giving it. And then the same thing, if you look at those New England teams, everybody was preaching the same thing that Belichick was saying. He would say it quietly, but I'm sure the team wasn't saying it quietly. They're leaders on those teams. And that's what you have to have. And I don't know if we have that right now. But I think they just going to have to play tougher. The defense going to have to play tougher, set the edge this weekend. Gap discipline. Somebody was mentioning that. I wanted to say that because our gap discipline has been bad.
Poor. It's been really, really bad.
Three guys in the same gap. I'm like, where are we going?
You know what, Coach? What they tell you sometimes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. How much did this team miss Michael McFadden now?
Man, that's what I just told him. I told you I saw him earlier, man. I came in with my mask on. I was all like excited, and then I saw him. I took my mask off right away because I wanted to see who I was, right?
Okay.
So I had to say what's up to him, and I was just looking at him like, bro, like we miss you so much, bro.
He had gotten better every year that he was here, and had become a really good part of the run stuffing game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all these injuries have hurt us this year, and I was proud of the way they played so far this year, but it's kind of sad to see it kind of dissolving right in front of me a little bit. Hopefully we can pick it up this weekend, and go Giants.
All right,
Yes,
Coach,
sir.
thank
Thanks
you.
for the call, Coach.
Hoping for some home cooking. Again, remember, the Giants are 2-0 at home since they made the change at quarterback to Jackson Dart. Now, again, I'm going to make this very clear. I am not blaming Russell Wilson for the Giants' troubles, okay? But there is no question that some of this nuclear energy that we talked about, Scatterboo was providing it, Dart was providing it, and right now, and I don't think, maybe I did talk to you since, I said to somebody the other day, it's almost feeling like after those last two home games, when the Giants upset the Chargers and the Eagles on consecutive home games, they're starting to get a sense of maybe a home field advantage again, which they haven't really had here for a long time. They hadn't won a lot of games at home, and the crowds were not responding because the team wasn't doing very well.
Yeah.
They responded to Dart. They responded to Scatterboo. I've been on that sideline. When that stadium has it going, it makes a difference. Even Brian Dable said today, you know what? Home crowd, 12th man, it's something. It's real in this league. Again, folks, one of the steps into becoming a better team, win at home. I'd love to see the Giants win the rest of their home games this season. Whatever their final record turns out to be, win games at home.
Absolutely. I mean, when you got your home crowd on your side, man, there's nothing like it, you know. And this is I think our fans, they're fair fans, you know. They're true fans. Like when I say true fans, like they're gonna stick with you when you're good, and they're gonna cheer you on, and when you're bad, they're gonna show
let you know.
them.
They will let you know.
You know, and this is a team that will boo at halftime if you're not performing well. And the good thing about this year is the Giants have been performing well at home. You know, and I think I kind of called out the fans the last game when the Giants beat Philadelphia at home. I was a little disappointed because the stadium was not as full as I thought it should be. And the Giants put on a hell of a performance against a really talented Philadelphia Eagles team.
I'm glad they were vocal, though.
Oh, they were good.
They were vocal.
Good. They weren't fantastic. They weren't great, which I know they can be because I've seen it. I've heard them do it before. But, like, it goes to show you, I think, that any team, if you got the support of your home crowd, that gives you a little bit extra juice.
Sure.
That gives you a little bit extra juice, you know.
Look, Scatterboo's not here. So how about the crowd kind of sub for Scatterboo and give him a lift?
We need him. You know, and you know, I know, look, because I got a lot of family and a lot of friends, and we hear callers all the time, right? We speak to these guys, and We hear you. We understand you. But, man, those guys need you, man. Those guys on the field, I know you relying on them. They got their parlays and their prop bets and stuff like that.
Don't go there.
I'm just saying, it's true, though, Paul. It's true.
I know.
But, like, man, those guys need you. Those guys need to hear those fans cheering for them, supporting them, and really being there for them because, man, it's nothing like running out that tunnel and you seeing a full crowd and everybody cheering, man. There's nothing like it.
Well, we will see what happens on Sunday as the San Francisco 49ers make the trip from the West Coast. And by the way, this is a 1 o'clock game. Okay? Think about that once again. 1 o'clock game. They've been talking about this old wives' tale for the longest time, that when teams come to the East and they have to play 1 o'clock game, I know the percentages back it up. They tend to have more difficulties.
And it's daylight savings time, so they're going to lose an extra hour,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken, right? So they're losing 4 hours.
Yes.
Advantage Giants.
I mean, it's got to count for something. How much?
And
I don't know.
They come out Saturday, not today. Because today's Friday.
No. I got a hunch if I'm San Francisco, and I have not read their media reports this afternoon, I got a hunch they probably will come out tonight. They'd be dumb not to.
Maybe a red eye and get in the morning on Saturday. Because that west
to come out Saturday
flight,
afternoon is not going to be smart.
The west to east flight, that's the flight I hate the most. West to east, because you either fly in the morning and lose the day, or you fly at night and hopefully you get some sleep on the plane. So, advantage Giants when you got to do some stuff like that.
Now, you never played for a West Coast team.
No, but I've flown from the L.A. or wherever to New Jersey or Florida or something, and I hate it.
He's a man of the world, folks.
I love to travel, Paul.
I know he does.
I love to travel.
I know
it's my favorite thing to do. Like, besides hanging with my daughter, the thing I really love to do is travel. You talk.
I know.
When you call me and I'm with me, I'm either with my daughter or I'm out the country.
I know you are. Every time. Every single time. My goodness, I'll tell you, folks, it's going to be an interesting game. I promise you that. It will be an interesting game on Sunday. Again, I think both offenses will probably move the ball effectively, and it just could very well come down to the last possession.
And what we didn't talk about, which I'm a little, for me, like you didn't bring up the historical value of this game between these two storied franchises, maybe because the records aren't as good as it used to be and they're not both going for a playoff spot right now. Is that it?
These teams don't resemble anything like their forefathers.
Yeah.
They just don't.
A lot of history here, though, man.
Oh, there's a tremendous amount of history, but they just don't resemble those teams of the past. Look, the Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh battles, and I'm not just talking about the players on the field. I'm talking about those coaching battles.
Yeah, for sure.
Who are awesome.
Yeah.
Remember this, folks. Just remember this. When it comes to the Parcells, Joe Gibbs, Bill Walsh, little triumvirate of awesome coaches during that time period, Parcells is the guy who has the best record amongst the threesome.
Really?
Just remember that. When it comes to the round robin of those teams all fighting each other, Parcells comes out the winner. I will never let anybody forget that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Because the tuna's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
Always respond to the tuna. The book of the tuna, as I like to say. Folks, that will do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. As always, we have come to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. It's been a long week, folks. For Jonathan Casillas, I'm Paul Dottino. Remember, 1 o'clock on Sunday for the kickoff. Pre-game show on WFAN starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Radio post-game on FAN for 2 hours afterwards. And, of course, immediately following the game, you can flick over to MSG. We'll have the 1 hour televised post-game show with locker room reaction and so forth and so on. We will see you on Monday on Big Blue Kickoff Live. So long, everybody.